Oops. Hello, hello. Just checking if everything's working here. Let's see. Get you guys angled correctly. Hey guys. Thanks for tuning in. We are continuing on the cabinet today. For those of you who don't know, my name is Brandon. I am with Alder Craftsmanship. However, I'm working with Harvey on doing some stuff for them. So we are going live today again. And we're continuing on the walnut cabinet. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and check out the other lives that we had going on. Also, I'm doing this by myself today. I don't have a helper, so I'm doing the cameras, checking the comments, and audio, and doing all the woodwork myself. So if it's a little scattered, that's kind of that's kind of why that is. I'm gonna check the phones to make sure everything's going okay. So. All right. And I'm just working on getting the technical side of things up and running here. And I might be checking on my own phone here, checking out the comments and stuff. So if you see me on my phone, that's why. Hope you guys are doing well today. Was having a little bit of a rough morning getting here. Had some exits that were closed and stuff. So it's a little bit rough morning for me, but we are here. We're doing it. We're live. Everything's gonna go great today. All right, so let me update you on kind of where we're at with the cabinet. So everything is basically finished. I don't have anything glued up on the cabinet itself. Let's see you guys around here. So kind of an update from where I had last left you guys. Everything's ready to go. However, I did take some time off camera to take all the pieces apart and sand them up to 220. So they're nice and smooth, basically almost ready for finish. I do need to glue up the joints. I'm thinking I'm gonna leave all the middle section kind of floating, because everything should be pretty good there. I wanna leave a little bit of room for movement. I do wanna glue up these corner joints though, so I'll be working on that today, as well as I got the doors. I'll put these up on camera so you guys can see. The doors are pretty much ready to go. And then I have my handles that I made for them. I literally just glued those on, so they're pretty much ready to go. I do need to get some of that glue out of there, but it's kind of the concept I'm going for. Kind of what I was going for is, as you can see, these handles kind of swoop up and kind of follow this grain around like that. Wanted to do a little bit of that action. Yeah, just kind of give it a nice little design there. So that's pretty much what I'm working on, as well as I do need to put the pins in the doors for the hinges. Show you what I'm talking about here. So basically, this is gonna go like that. I don't know how well you guys can see, but it's gonna go like that, and then I'm gonna run a brass pin through there. It's just gonna go in here probably about a ½ inch to an inch. So run that through there, and then I have to file the end off, sand it, and then do the same on this side. And therefore we create like a little hinge action. So that's what I'm gonna be working on right now. Honestly guys, I should have this wrapped up today. I'm really excited and looking forward to getting some finish on it. I think it's really gonna make it pop. So without further explanation, I'm just gonna get to it. Figure out what I want to start with here. I think And one of my thoughts that I was having about the cabinet itself is whether I want to try to finish most of the inside and these sections before I glue up these joints. Because trying to get in there with a rag and get all that finish around there is going to be a kind of a pain in the butt. So I think I am going to do that. I'm going to get at least one coat of finish on kind of this middle section in the backer, and then I just won't put any finish on these corners here so that the glue obviously will be able to stick. So I think that's what I'm going to get to, as well as I could put some finish on the doors here. Yeah, so now I need to take everything apart here. Make sure I don't lose the place of anything, because last time I did that, it was kind of a little bit of a rough time trying to figure out where everything fit back together. So I'm going to take everything apart here, make sure everything's laid out nicely. There we go. And then this section just is floating in there. So that will pop right off like that. It did take me quite a while to set it like that, to actually sand all this down, because each piece, has 4 sides to it, and I'm hand sanding, well, not hand sanding, using my Festool sander, but it does still take a while because I started with 120, went to 180, and then went to 220. And then I popped the grain in between and stuff. So it did take quite a while to get all this stuff sanded down, even though it's such a small piece. But I want it to be done right and finished nicely. So look at this back piece. It's a really nice piece. Look at that green pattern in there. Looks super cool. I'm really excited to see how it all comes together once I put some finish on it. Final details. So it should be an exciting day for the cabinet today. By the end of the day, we should have it wrapped up. So I'm excited. Hope you guys are excited too to see it. It's been a little over a month in the making. So without further ado, I'll get to it. Now for the finish on the project, I'm going to be using, let me find it here real quick. I'm going to be using this stuff here. They do have, here at the studio, they do have some walrus oil, which I've never used personally before. So before I start using that stuff, on this project, I'm just going to go with something I've used before that I really like. Super easy to apply, and then it gets a really nice finish in the end, which is pretty durable. So this is a Minwax Antique Oil Finish. It's a hard finish, soft luster. It's basically like a hardening oil. So yeah, I'm going to be applying that. Probably do a couple coats throughout the day. Ideally, I'd probably wait 24 hours in between the coats and kind of do a light sanding, but I think for this it'll be okay if I just go for it and let it soak in a little bit and then give it a good wipe off. Now I just need to find some rags that I can use. Oh, poke myself in the eye almost. Find a decent rag to work with. And I do need to I will probably have to do some little finish sanding after I put the finish on as well, but I'll just touch up with this stuff because it'll just go on fine anyways. So, and I am gonna try to find some gloves around here to put on. There we go. So for those of you that are new to this live stream, we're basically just kind of trying out. We're just going to be doing some woodworking. And yeah, if you guys want to follow and just kind of watch some live woodworking instead of, having these edited videos, we're just going to show the real process of just doing different projects and hopefully, answering some questions and stuff like that. This is kind of my first project here, working with Harvey Industries International. So, yeah, I think we have some other ideas we're planning out for different projects, and we have some big stuff coming up in July that will be pretty exciting to get to. So, I'll scoot you guys over so you can get a good shot of this, because I love putting on that first coat. Get in here, closer here. All right, let's do it. So, throw some finish on the back of it first. Oh yeah, there's that color. Soaks it in nicely. That color really pops out when you put some oil on it. And I have a feeling that this stuff's really going to soak it in, so. Which is good, that's what I want. I want it to really saturate the wood. And this isn't really like a finish that's going to be sticky while it's wet, so I'm not too worried about, little pieces of sawdust or anything sticking to it while it's kind of in the process of curing. So you'll see me in a second, I'm going to just flip this over, and a little bit of sawdust on the table, but I'm not too worried about it. Basically, this oil is going to saturate into the wood and then harden inside the wood, not on top of it. So it's kind of the process we're going for there. All right, let's see it. Oh yeah. That grain starts to pop. This has to be one of the most satisfying aspects of doing a woodworking project, is getting to see that final pop when you throw some finish on it for the first time. And I'm going with the grain, just to be safe that I'm not creating any cross grain streaks or anything weird like that. And I'm just kind of going over it and letting it soak into the wood. Some areas like this are going to soak in a lot more because it's kind of a mixed grain going on. So some of it's almost like end grain because it's so kind of, the grain just goes every which way. And I'm not going to glue this panel in place either. I'm gonna have it floating because I created a little groove for it to sit in. So technically it's gonna be a floating back panel. Even though it's not gonna have too much movement going on, but yeah, it's looking really nice. All right, set that aside. We have these middle sections that we need to throw some finish on here. Something so cool about woodworking is just that every piece has different grain and just looks so cool. Look at that. That grain pattern in there is so cool. So much of that light reflecting off of it. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I think it's called chatoyance or something like that. I don't know if it's French or what. Chatoyance. Wow, look at that. That's so cool. Really cool. Such an exciting part of the process. Get to see all your hard work pay off and get to see the results of your fine finishing work. All that effort of taking the time to sand it down nicely. And I could have probably kept going with sandpaper on this to get it up to like 400 grit, but one, I didn't have 400 grit for my Festool sander, and two, I don't think it's really going to be necessary for this project. If it was like maybe a tabletop or desktop or something like that, I might go up to like 400 grit just to get it really soft to the touch. This in and of itself is really soft to the touch, but when you bring it up that high, it kind of gets super baby smooth, baby skin smooth. I'm just gonna set these aside as I finish them here. Okay. So as I'm working here, I guess I could tell you guys we are, I'm still fairly new to Harvey Industries International, working with them, but I know a lot of you would assume like they're this massive, industrial brand and stuff that's making these tools, but something I was shocked by was to find out that they're actually not a huge brand. They're actually a pretty small, reasonably small team. And right now I'm in the warehouse for where they keep all their, shipping stuff. And but yeah, it's been a really cool experience working with them so far. All the team here is just really nice, and they're all just, just really good people. So I've had a really nice time working with them, and I look forward to continuing to work with them And if you guys have any questions about any of the tools or anything like that, definitely reach out to customer service. I personally have met and talked to. There's only a couple people that are here that do it, and they're all just super nice people and totally willing to answer all your questions and everything like that. So yeah, definitely reach out if you guys have any questions or concerns regarding the tools or anything along those lines. And I know they'd be happy to answer those for you guys. Man, this one's gonna be nice once we put some finish on that. And I don't have, last week I had a laptop open so I could see the comments as they came in from you guys, but this week I don't have that open yet. And I might try to check the comments every now and then to see kind of what you guys are talking about, asking about, but I won't be able to see them like live as you ask questions or make comments or anything. So, but I do encourage you guys to ask questions or make comments and stuff like that. Right. And I did make a reel actually on my, if you guys don't know, I'm from, I have my own business, Alder Craftsmanship. I do custom carpentry and furniture and built-in furniture, stuff like that. Look at that piece, that's cool. So if you guys want to go check out my page, I do have a video actually about oily rags and staining rags and stuff like that. It's a very, especially if you're new to woodworking, you might not know, but these things can be extremely dangerous if you don't know what you're doing with them. So I can't remember where it is in my profile, but check out the videos. One of them is me talking about that. So just a little tidbit for you guys. Because definitely want everyone to be safe when they're doing woodworking and having a good time and not doing any damage to themselves or their property or anything like that. Wow, this piece is really nice. This makes me excited to see the doors, because the doors have some incredible depth and wood movement in there. Yeah, it's really nice. And I got this walnut at a place in Seattle called, what was it called? Crosscut Hardwoods. So I don't know if there's anybody in the comments right now, but if you want to tag Crosscut Hardwoods, I don't even know what their Instagram handle or YouTube handle or anything is, or if they even have one, but yeah, they have some really nice stock of all kinds of wood. Foreign, domestic, all kinds of stuff in there. But yeah, they have some really nice stuff. So definitely, if you guys are wondering where I got this wood, and I'm still new to this area in California, so I have yet to do my homework and find a wood supplier here. If anybody knows in Southern California, around, like an hour east of LA, or even in LA, I'm willing to drive. If anyone knows of any good wood suppliers that have good stock and a good variety of materials, definitely drop a comment and let me know, because it's always good to find a local source for wood and materials. good first coat for all of those. Now I think I will go ahead and, let me see, how's that gonna work? All right, I'm gonna take a pause and tape these off so I don't get any finish on where I'm gonna put the glue. So pause on the finishing for 1 second. The last thing I want is getting oil where my glue is gonna be and then not having my glue stick and the joints pop loose. That's not what I want. So grab some tape just for safe measure. Just gonna throw some on here. I'm gonna be safe and go a little bit more than what I need, just because I want all that glue surface to be sticking. Make sure I have a crisp, clean line there so it doesn't leak through. Let me see if I'm even at a good angle for you guys to see me here. That looks like we're pretty good. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. I already got some on there. Just a little bit though. But don't want any more than we need on there. That, and then that's going to be glued inside there. All right, I think that's probably good. I'm just going to avoid the insides of these just to be safe. Excuse me. Throat's a little dry today. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting because I don't work with walnut often. So I've seen some guys use, before they put their finish on, they use like a toner and stuff to get a certain color out of it, which I think is cool, but I just kind of want to go natural on this one, just to see the real color of the wood as well as the grain. Don't want to cover up anything or dull anything out. This is really pretty wood that I'm working with here. I think what I'm going to do is leave the outside because I do need to, after I glue up these joints, I'm going to sand it right here and right here, so there's not really any point in me trying to finish the outside yet. I'll just wait on that. Yeah, we're just going to wait on that. just gonna get all the inside finished, that way I don't have to try to tuck my fingers in there and do it while it's all together. This has been a really fun project for me, just doing like kind of the fine detail work. And also all of this cabinet is cut from the same board. There's one board that was book matched into two pieces. That's how I got the front doors there to be book matched. But yeah, they're just really pretty pieces of wood. That's done. Now we got these, and I'm just gonna avoid these ends. Actually gonna go right up to the edge there. This is one reason why I like this finish, is because it's just super easy to apply. You know, there's not really, I mean, I guess if you're being extremely excessive, you could put too much on, but for the most part, yeah, you can't really put too much on, because it's just gonna soak in, and the rest that doesn't soak in, you just wipe it off. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Done. One more. Pretty much got the finish on everything here. Now I'm just gonna do, I still need to work on the doors a little bit right before I put finish on. So I'm gonna try to find a clean rag. Just make sure there's no excess finish on here that'll dry sticky or anything like that. A little bit of excess there. So it looks like everything's really well soaked in, so I might just do another round actually. Another round right now to see if I can get any more to just kind of soak in there. I'm going to do that. Once I see it kind of stop soaking in a little bit, then I think I'll call that good. But I really want it to soak in as much as possible. That way it gets deep in the wood pores and hardens in there. I'm not going to worry about putting more on the back because I feel like the back is not nearly as important as the front, obviously, and then I think it's good enough. You can see it's definitely soaking in more in this corner here. I'll just load that up a little bit more. The thing that I don't want to happen is I don't want it to apply it too liberally and then let it dry, because then it'll get really sticky on the surface. Essentially what I want to do is apply it liberally now and then let it really soak into the wood, and while it's still wet, wipe off all the excess once it's kind of fully saturated into the wood. While that's soaking in, I'm going to go finish these other pieces real quick. Just do a quick coat to let them soak a little bit more. Instagram seems like it's glitching out here. Just trying to figure out what's going on. Not sure what's going on with it right now. Anyone on Instagram, is it kind of glitching out for you too, or is that just on my screen? Don't see anybody, so. Well, I'm just gonna let it run, and then hopefully it, oh, I think it figured itself out. Sweet. Okay. YouTube looks like it's good to go. All right, continuing on. Man, this is a really pretty piece. Something I wish that there was almost like a school that you could learn, which honestly there might be, I'm just not familiar with one, but is how to apply finish to wood, and also how to paint correctly different projects, like especially cabinetry and stuff like that. I wish there was some sort of school. The closest thing that I've found to that would be on YouTube with an account. I do not know his name, unfortunately, but I believe his account is Ask a Painter or something like that, and he does live Q&A, as well as kind of like teachings on finishing. And I believe he has a painting business, but he also does finishing on like wooden cabinetry and stuff like that. But a lot of his stuff that he said is just really, really helpful. So if there's anybody else out there that's looking for, some tips and tricks or advice on finishing your project, whether that be paint or clear coat, I believe he's actually the one that turned me on to the antique oil finish for finishing different projects. I think that's where I heard about that. But yeah, definitely go check him out. I believe it's on YouTube. I think his YouTube handle or account is Ask a Painter. Hopefully if it's not, I'll go back after the live here, and after it's finished, and I'll find his account and hopefully tag him in it. Because yeah, again, he's just really, really, really helpful. He's been in the industry doing painting and finishing for quite some time, so he's got a lot of helpful information. And I believe what I'm going to do is, once this is completely dried, I'll probably wait like a week or maybe 2 weeks until all of the oils actually harden and dry in this. And then I'll go back with a paste wax, probably just a min-wax paste wax, and I'll go back and kind of buff out most of the stuff with the paste wax and create a nice luster on there, nice finish. But you definitely want to give it time to cure in the wood before you apply anything else. And honestly, like I would not consider myself a master woodworker, even though that's technically what they hired me for, is being a master woodworker. But I wouldn't consider myself a master woodworker by any means. I'm continuously learning, as I know most of you are, and I think it's going to be a lifelong process of just continuing to learn and figure out different ways to do things, easier ways to do things, how to use certain tools for your advantage, how wood works, how it's a live material, so it's going to move, it's going to expand, contract, warp, do all that kind of stuff. So you have to know all about this stuff, and it takes a while to learn that. So I believe I will always be learning, and even in my personal life, I'm always trying to improve and learn new things and better myself. So don't get upset with yourself if you feel like other people, especially on like YouTube or Instagram or something, seem like they know so much, or don't be intimidated by the guys who have been doing this for 35 years or 40 years or something like that. They have a wealth of knowledge, but don't let them intimidate you in not trying to start your project, because we all have to start somewhere. I started somewhere. I started out of high school. I got a job doing concrete finishing, so that's where I started my kind of hands-on stuff, and then it morphed into doing residential siding. Did that for a while. Also did some different kind of carpentry projects with that job, but I mean, it takes time. It does, and it takes years to get experience to get really good. And that's why I believe that, a really good project deserves a really high dollar, because it does take a really long time to get really good, especially with this kind of work. Some people are, I would say, more gifted than others, just naturally, and they pick it up a lot faster. But even then, again, it takes time to get acclimated to kind of how this whole thing works with using machinery and, again, wood movement, that kind of stuff. It just takes a lot of time and studying, honestly. I'm constantly studying, whether it's YouTube videos or books. Try to get a lot of books from the bookstore and just read those. A lot of the old school woodworkers have published books and have a lot of really cool information, tips, tricks, jigs, all kinds of stuff like that in those. So I definitely, YouTube's a great place to find quick videos to learn stuff, but there's a lot of knowledge and wisdom in books as well that you can find in thrift stores and Barnes and Noble or local bookstores, libraries, and stuff like that. So definitely encourage you guys to just seek out different sources other than just YouTube and Instagram. One of my cool purchases that I made, got them really cheap. I got a set of encyclopedias that was from, when was it? I think it was from early 1900s. I got a set of basically construction encyclopedias from the 1900s, and I think it's 7 or 9 volumes or something like that. But they actually go through all the details of how they used to build a house back then, how they used to price it, all the details of anything from putting together their budget to pricing out all the woodwork in the house, stuff like that. So just really cool. If you guys are passionate about woodworking, there's all kinds of random cool stuff you can find out there. But you gotta look for it. You gotta search for it. All right, folks. So I think I'm good with these. It's okay that I got a little bit on the backs of these. I'm not worried about that. That'll blend in. So now I'm gonna go through and just try to soak up the excess. It's kind of sitting on there so it doesn't get all sticky. First, though, put my table down here, my bench. One of the projects I need to do is refinish this bench. It's got to be 5 feet. Let me do the old arm measurement. 5 feet by. It's a 5x6 bench. It's a really cool piece, actually, that one of the founders of, or actually the founder of Bridge City Tools made. He made this bench, and I feel very honored to be working on it, because this dude's a legend in the woodworking world. But anyways, I need to eventually refinish this thing, because it's got it's probably got 30 years or something like that of dings and nicks and cuts and everything in it, different finishes on it. So eventually I hope to refinish it, bring it back to its glory. That side's pretty good. Okay, so just gonna go through, like I said, and soak up any excess that still looks shiny. It's just gonna sit on the surface and get sticky. Also, I don't know how well this works, but this is kind of like a paper towel type thing that I'm using. It's like I don't know, commercial paper towel. But in my mind, I would think it's somewhat of a extremely fine sandpaper to almost buff out the finish. Help smooth things over. I don't know, that might be just me making stuff up, but I'd like to think it's something. Okay, so get any excess finish off my hands. And looks good to me. I can't see what you guys are seeing, but basically what I'm looking for is that there's no shiny spots, that the whole surface is almost like a matte finish. So that's kind of what I'm looking for with all these pieces. Now that one is completed. Just make sure there's no excess oil around the edges to be sticky. Something that I do want to create with this channel and with all of you is just a woodworking community that we can help one another out. Because obviously, I mean, I don't have all the answers. You know, there's probably guys watching this that have way more experience than I do woodworking and can teach me a lot more. But I do want to create a just an environment that's safe for anybody and everybody of all technical levels. You know, those who have been doing it for a really long time and those who are just starting out, to learn together, you know. Because I know obviously there's some seasoned veterans out there with the woodworking community that I can learn a lot from. And there's also people that I can help out because I know some tricks and tips that I can hand off to them. So I think that's kind of what I want to do with this channel, is just create a community of woodworkers that can just help each other out, talk woodworking, and make each other better woodworkers. That's my goal. Also, before this dries, I'm just trying to get any little specks of sawdust and everything off. I'm not too worried about it because they'll come off after it's fully dry anyways, but just to be safe. All right, I'm gonna get some more paper towels. And I'm gonna take a drink of water. And real quick, I'm gonna just see if I can see any comments on here. To find the live first. Let's see here. There we go. Find the live first. Let's see here. There we go. Looks like Instagram. We got a couple things going on. Let me check Instagram here. On my own phone here. Check it out. Check Instagram. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any comments, at least in that brief little minute that I looked over things, so we'll just keep rolling. Oh, slippery. I'm excited because we're almost to the point where we can put everything back together and see how it looks. It's going to be exciting to get kind of the first picture of everything fitting together. I'm really liking, I did a round over on this front edge for this piece. This is going to be the centerpiece that kind of lines the cabinet, the divider. Really liking the rounded edge on this with the walnut specifically. It just reminds me of kind of an old-timey, almost like a gun stock or something like that, which I think is really cool. Just having that, just that dark black walnut with the curve on it. I don't know, something about it just reminds me of antique furniture or, yeah, like a gun stock or something like that. It's kind of cool, kind of fun. What time is it? I haven't even checked the time. Yeah, we've been going for about an hour so far. I'm hoping I can get some, once I get the corners glued up, I'm going to work on getting the doors seated. So that'd be really cool. I want to try to do that on stream. Whoop. Finish this up with, fairly quickly. For those of you who are watching, or actually even if you aren't watching live, but if you want to kind of pitch in just out of curiosity, what do you think is the hardest finish to work with? Not technically what is the hardest finish, but what's a finish that's really hard to work with in your opinion? I would say for me, and I know probably a lot of people would argue at this point, but I would say polyurethane is probably one of my least favorites to work with. At least in the sense of, now I've tried the wipe-on poly, and that stuff seems to work pretty great. But the brush-on polyurethane, I'm not a fan of. It always just, in my opinion, it always comes out streaky, and I've just never had good results with it. I'd say that's probably one of my least favorite ones to work with. One that I do really like working with, but it's not the greatest environmentally or for my own health, is lacquer. I've done a lot of projects with lacquer, spraying lacquer, the HVLP sprayer, and you can get some really nice smooth results with lacquer. However, it is, it has a very chemically smell as well as it's extremely flammable. So it's not really ideal, especially for a small wood shop. I used to spray it outdoors, but again, I know it's not great for the environment either to be doing that. So I don't know, I'm always looking for different options to use that are not only healthy for me to work with, but healthy for the environment and sustainable for, planet Earth. Okay, that one's good to go. All right, a couple more pieces and then we're going to assemble everything, so almost there. Okay, that one's good to go. Just gonna do these side pieces here. And for those of you who just joined recently, basically what I'm doing is just kind of buffing out the oil finish that I put on here. I'm, in a sense, trying to buff it. At the same time, I'm trying to soak up any excess so that it doesn't sit on the surface. Because if it does sit on the surface and dry, it's going to get sticky. We don't want a sticky project. We want a smooth finish. So that's what I'm doing right now. I just have a paper towel that I'm trying to soak up any excess oil and finish. And the product I'm working with today, this antique oil finish, is, I believe it's kind of like a mix of different oils and hardeners. So it should, I guess I should probably read the instructions. I haven't read them in quite a while, but it should harden fairly quickly and dry within a reasonable amount of time. It's not like tung oil or something where you have to wait like a week for it to fully dry. Is it tung oil? Can't remember which oil it is, but there's a few oils that take a really long time to dry in between coats. That's good. All right, last piece. And I can already feel that it's semi-drying because some of these parts are getting a little sticky. However, if I kind of lightly buff it, then I can get that stickiness off. And if it does get too sticky, I can just reapply some finish and that'll loosen it up again, and then I'll wipe the excess off. But at this point, everything's fine so far, so I won't have to do that right now. And again, for these, this is going to be the outside of the piece, and I do need to Once I glue these corners up, I do need to sand this, so I'm not bothering putting any finish on this surface yet. I'll do that after it's all glued up and ready to go. That'll kind of be the final finish coat. All right, well, I think that's it, folks. So I think we are ready to do some assembly. Now, one thing is I do have, where is it? I do need to find my wood glue because I have a few different kinds of wood glue that I'm not sure which type I'm going to use today. So let me see if I can find some here. All right, I got that one and that one. All right, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and use good old Type Bond 3, simply because I use this stuff for every single project I do. It is kind of the waterproof exterior / interior version, which for this, it's not really necessary. However, why not? Why not just have that extra assurance? And it's not a ton more money to buy this versus the other ones. I know there are different applications for the Type Bond 1, 2, 3. And then there's also this one that I used for the back panel glue up, just because I needed something that was going to be quick. So this is the Type Bond Quick and Thick multi-surface glue. And it says 2 to 3 times faster, or excuse me, 2 times faster and 3 times thicker. This one says interior projects. So if you're doing anything that's exposed to moisture or water, don't use this guy. But anyways, today I'm going to be using this one just because it's trusty. I've used it before and I know how it works, so I'm using that right now. However, the downside is I don't know if you guys will be able to, it depends how long I run the stream today. I don't know if you guys will be able to, on stream, be able to see me take the clamps off and have everything kind of finished up. Because this stuff, technically, I believe it sets in like 30 minutes. However, you're not supposed to stress the joints for, I believe it's 24 hours. Let me see what this is. Yeah, it says don't stress joints for 24 hours. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I might just do a test and just kind of see if it's going to work or not. Definitely don't want to take clamps off too early and then risk it popping out of place and moving on you, and then you have to redo the whole thing. So, make sure it's all mixed up. Another guy that has a lot of, okay, so a couple guys that I follow on Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that are really knowledgeable about woodworking and have a lot of tips and tricks. One is Stumpy Nubs. He's definitely a really big guy on YouTube that I know a lot of people look to for information about tools, woodworking, hand planes, all kinds of stuff. He has a lot of really good content out there, so definitely check him out. That's Stumpy Nubs. So check him out on YouTube, as well as I believe it's Ramon. Let me look real quick so I can give you guys the right info here. He's on YouTube as well as Instagram. So I can find him real quick so I give you the right name. Yeah, so his name is Ramon Artful on Instagram. I believe it's the same thing on YouTube. So Ramon and then Artful, Artful. So those two guys are really, really good when it comes to putting out content for educational purposes and teaching the differences between certain things. He just recently did I believe a YouTube short on the numbers down here and how to find glue that's basically the freshest out of the factory, instead of stuff that's been sitting on the shelf for, too long. So yeah, those two guys, go check them out. They have a lot of really good stuff. I need to quit talking and do more work here. So take off the gloves. Did get a nice little cut here earlier from my razor blade that I was working with. Now, I might, depending on how this joint comes together and how I feel about how it's locking together, I may end up doing some additional brass rods into the joints to just really secure it up. The reason I am wondering about that is because I do have end grain onto side grain or front grain. I don't know what you call that, but and I know end grain is not the best to glue into. So, and I do have like a little bit of joints here and here to connect and lock a little bit more, but I'm still a little bit worried about that. So we'll see whether I need to put the extra secure fasteners in there, I guess. So we'll see. Yeah, it's nice and smooth. Feels dry, doesn't feel sticky. It's exactly what I want. And with this finish as well, once it kind of cures and hardens, you can go back with either like steel wool or what's it called? One of those little scrubber pads that's very fine abrasive, and you can just go and almost just buff out any tiny little specks that have gotten stuck to it. That way you can really smooth it out. So now I can take these. So now I got a clean piece of wood there and there. So I'm going to be gluing that into this joint like that. So that's why I put the tape over it. I didn't want to get any finish on those. So I'm just going to do a dry fit before I put the glue on, just to make sure everything's fitting correctly. So I'm going to grab these. Actually, let's get this panel first. And let me make sure you guys can see everything here so that we got a good angle going. Not too bad. Not too bad. I have both phones for you guys connected to the same tripod, so I'm trying to do 2 adjustments at once here, but I think it's working out fine. Oh yeah, that's nice and smooth. I feel a little bit of, looks like I got a little bit of nicks in there. I don't know how that got in there. Little scuffs. It's all right. All right, it's coming together. Exciting. I'm just feeling for any little specks of sawdust and everything, just trying to make sure I'm not getting anything trapped anywhere. All right. Make this first connection here. Oof. Perfect. And it kind of a little bit loose there, but once these sides and these bottoms are locked on there, it'll be nice and solid. And like I said before, I don't want to do it too tight because I have had joints that I've made too tight to where I have to force them in, and then over time the wood ends up drying out and splitting, and I don't want that to happen. So essentially I just want to make it a tiny bit loose. Well, ideally I have it kind of a perfect fit, but on these I think I overcut by like a less than a 64th or something, just barely, so, but I'm not worried about it. All right, so I think everything's looking good there. Oh, I do need to actually, I think I need to adjust these maybe. We will see. There is an orientation that these have to go in, and I'm not sure that I have them in the right orientation right now, so I'll have to just test it and see if it's in the right spot. That works. All right, I think it's in the correct orientation. Now let's put these on there and give it a little test fit. This is kind of the hardest part, is just getting all of these joints to come together at one time. Do it like a little bit at once. This is where it'd be handy to have more than two hands. That one's on. Sweet. Now we'll test this one out. Make sure that's together. Have 4 joints I need to line up at one time here. There we go. Cool. All right. Yeah, looks good. I think everything's gonna fit together nicely. So I think I'm ready to glue up the joints and then clamp it down. And one thing about the shop right now is I don't know if I have enough clamps, because I'm not sure if these other clamps over here are going to be long enough. I don't think they are. Oh man, they're an inch and a half too short. Well, the old saying goes, you can't have too many clamps in your shop. It's true, because we're just getting this shop started here and we do not have enough clamps. But I think we can get away with it. We can make it happen. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do right now is actually pop these off. So now that I know everything still fits together, my joints everything's oriented correctly, what I'm gonna do is put some tape on these joints so that the glue doesn't squirt into the inside corners, because those are always a pain in the butt to clean up. So now what I'm gonna do is basically, let me make sure you guys can see me doing this here. YouTube's good. Instagram, we're gonna scooch over a little bit. There we go. Okay. So essentially what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this over farther than I need it, and then I'm gonna take a straight edge and cut from this to this with a razor and just shave it off so that I have a nice line right where I want it. There we go. Now I have a straight edge somewhere around here. find it. Here we are. Bridge City Tools, straight edge. Really nice. Really nice tool to work with. It's always nice to have tools that you can rely on and know that they're true, that they're not inaccurate, I guess you could say. So again, what I'm doing right now is I'm just gonna shave off this little piece here, and then trim this one. Okay, so I need to go from that line to that line. Just connect the two with a razor, and then I'll cut it off. Just like that. Now I can pull this tape off. And there you go, that should be my exact joint line without going underneath the joint at all. And I do not need this back section of tape either. So that's what we're working with there. Gonna repeat that for the other 3 corners. And accuracy is key. And in this, scenarios like this, I'm talking about really, really small measurements. So again, having really precise tools to work with, like a true straight edge, is really nice. There we are. Just gonna press that with my thumbnail, make sure it's nice and sealed off so that the glue doesn't creep underneath. Okay, so that one's done. Make sure it's in the right orientation there. Now we need to do this one. Oh, forgot to cut this back portion off that I don't need. The reason I don't need this back portion is because that panel is going to slide right in this groove, so I don't want to mess with that. Detail work, detail work. If you want precision woodworking, you have to be precise. And I could, technically use a pencil to mark this, or I could just eyeball it with the tape edge and then use that to do it, but why not be precise as possible? And it's not taking too much extra time. Something that I definitely want to discuss more with the woodworking community is about projects and specifically about pricing your projects and how it affects people when it comes to time and money. Because I know there's a lot of, for instance, people like me, I would rather spend a lot of time and get something really precise and fit and really nice. However, when it comes to actually making money, that's not always the most profitable thing. So I know there's definitely a hard line to follow when it comes to woodworking, because I know there's not, at least I haven't found, there's a lot of people out there who they want to pay top dollar for something that you've spent a lot of time on. They would rather have like a product that's kind of, I guess, middle ground, but pay a decent price for it. Or I should say pay a cheaper price for it. But I don't know, there's just something about it. And, I think that there's a lot of people straying away from using hand tools in woodworking because they're not as quick and efficient as other machinery that can be used. But to me, that's really sad, because some of the best carpentry in the world actually happens with hand tools. Obviously, you can do really precise stuff with CNC machines. I use the table saw for a lot of stuff. But there's just something about working with a natural material, using your natural movement of your body. It just feels good, as well as it kind of impregnates something into the project that, these pieces were handmade versus factory made or production in a facility that just has a bunch of machines cutting stuff out. There's just something about a handmade product, but also it's pretty, pretty rare to find people that'll pay for that, because not a lot of people will. There's people that value, in my opinion, craftsmanship and detail work and hand tools and hand tool use. But I don't know. I guess I'm just going on now about it, but what do you guys think? Have you been able to find clients that actually do value woodworking enough to spend a good amount of money on a project because you put the extra time and effort in? Or is it more you're looking to just get things done quickly so that you can turn around and make a profit? So I'll open that up for debate. I'm going to keep working on this, but if you guys want to discuss that, totally feel free to. I'd love to see some of the comments later when I check out the comments after I'm done here. Just making sure everything lines up. Looks good. So now I'll show you what I'm doing here. Oh. Got a little oil drippage from the finish, which I don't want. Don't want that mixing with the glue. So essentially, what I'm doing here is creating, so it's gonna go like this, and then these two fit together just like that. So that if there is any glue squeeze out, I should just be able to take this tape off. Let's see it here. Should be able to just take the tape off and then not have it bleed into the wood that I don't want it to bleed into. So that's done. Another topic of discussion for you woodworkers out there is tools. So, I know a lot of woodworkers, especially newer woodworkers, they see everybody with kind of the super nice saws and the extremely accurate squares and measurement markers, whatever all those fancy tools and stuff, and they think that they need those tools to get started. But it's hard because as a beginner woodworker, most people anyways, aren't really willing to spend, $5,000 to $10,000 on a setup to just get them started. So I'd be curious kind of what you guys think about beginner tools, I guess, we'll be talking about here. Like for me, for instance, I bought, a lot of guys start out with just a job site table saw and some hand tools like this chisel. I think it's from a garage sale or something like that, but I spent the time to flatten it, sharpen it. I need to do a little bit more work on it, but it's, it can shave my hair off my arm because it's so sharp, but I spent the time working with that. I have a little Irwin knife like this that I use. I do have a nice marking knife, which I need to find. It's in a box somewhere, but stuff like this, you don't have to spend a ton of money when you're just getting started. I don't know. What do you guys think? Obviously, I know there are some tools that you do want to spend the money on and, get the nicer stuff, but I think there's this stigma about, people, especially new woodworkers, think they can't do good work unless they have the most expensive tools. What are your thoughts on that? All right, one more, and then we're ready to glue up. All right. That's it. I think we're ready to go. Time for some glue and clamps. Oh, excuse me. Sometimes I forget I have a microphone on. Right, so kind of what I was just talking about. I don't have the ideal setup right now for this box. I'm going to be using these giant clamps to clamp this down because I have some quick clamps like this, but they're not quite long enough to fit over the box like that. And I don't feel like trying to rig something up. So I'm just going to try to use these long clamps and see if I can get it to work. I should have brought my other clamps from home, but I didn't. So we're going to have to see what we can work with here. And I might have to shift some things around. clean the workbench up a little bit. Some stuff we don't need laying around. Do need the glue, straight edge, set that aside. Okay. And to be honest, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to do this glue up, simply because I only have 2 clamps that, well, 3 clamps. Ideally, I'd have 4, but I don't. So honestly, I might have to try to do some tape clamping. Basically just putting tape on there and then stretching it and seeing if that'll hold it. I guess I have to just try and find out. So what I'm gonna do is set this aside. Move these to the side for a second. And set these guys up on the table here. So this is kind of what I was talking about earlier about having the right tools for the job. Is ideally what I'd have is some nice Bessie clamps. Can't remember what the technical name is for those ones. They're like parallel clamps, I think. They have like a tall jaw and they clamp together, keep everything nice and parallel. But again, I don't have those, so I'm gonna try to use these in a similar way to what I would do with the other ones if I did have them. Make sure, and I guess one of the hard parts is going to be getting everything square and making sure everything's going to be seated properly. I'm just kind of getting a setup going right now, just to make sure I have everything in place. That way, once I get the glue on, I can just quickly get it clamped in place. Giving it a little bit of wiggle room, so that way I can put this piece on there, and then these will have enough room to tighten down, push everything together. So I think that's good. Now, the one thing is that I'll be able to apply this piece pressure this way, but I do want to create pressure this way as well. So that's kind of what I was talking about with the whole tape clamp. I might have to stretch some tape across like this and kind of pull it tight together, and then as well as underneath. But we'll just see. We'll just give it a shot and see what happens. So I'm just gonna throw some glue on here. And I want to be fairly liberal with the glue. Apply it liberally because I want it to squeeze into all the gaps if there are any. If my woodworking is perfect, there won't be any gaps, but it's not perfect. Try to make it perfect, but not always perfect. All right, that side's good. And I know I will have to clean up a little bit of glue, squeeze out afterwards, but I should be good with the tape that I put on there, as well as I'm gonna have to sand the outside anyways, so I'll be able to kind of scrape off the excess once it dries a little bit, and then sand it down so get all the residue off. Okay, that one's set in place. This one. It's like always a good idea to double check which faces you're gluing so you don't mess that up. Let me see the camera setup here to see if we're still getting a good shot. Yeah, YouTube could get moved a little bit. There we go. It's not bad there. Also, the tape on there helps to, when you're considering, squeezing glue on here, doing that, so that you don't get a ton of extra on the inside of the workpiece that is really hard to scrape out. Just trying to cover all the surface. Make sure we get as much of the surface covered as possible. A thin but generous enough coat of glue. And because these joints are technically going to be the only thing holding this whole piece together, unless I decide to put in those brass rods like I said earlier, which I may do that. May end up doing that anyways, but now see, this is what I'm talking about. I got a piece of smudge of glue on my project already because I have glue on my hands. Time check. We're coming up on 2 hours here. I think we're going to try to end it at 2 o'clock, so got about 10 minutes left. Hopefully we can get this clamped up and ready to go. So what I'm realizing is I do need a little bit more space than what I was anticipating, because these pieces need to go on there. And then the other pieces need to lock into it. So that's on there good like that. I'm just gonna try to get this one set in there. Like I said, this isn't the ideal setup for what I'm trying to do here, but I'm gonna try to make it work. Again, just need to get one side going. There we go. The other side squeezed right in there, just like that. I like that where it is. Now I can slide that over. Let's see if we can get this last piece in there. One side in. There we go. All right. Now we're talking. Okay, so my first order of business is I'm just gonna go ahead and do some tape across here. I want to try to work fairly quickly because that glue is gonna start to soak into the wood. It's probably good. What I'm gonna do is just try to really pull that tight. Listen to that. Nice and tight. A little clamp action there. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Pull the piece together like that. Nice and tight. And that gives it pressure together like that, as well as I'm going to have to do it on the bottom. So what I'm going to do right now is actually flip this up and I'm going to do the same thing on the back side and clamp it together with the tape. All right, it's not working as well as I'd like, but it's, I think it may work for now at least. Okay, that ripped right off. Try to pull those pieces together. Okay, so I think that's gonna be good for now. Although I'd like to get that one seated a little bit more. Maybe that's where my third clamp can come in. All right, anyways, back to these. We should be good now to go ahead and start pressing them together. I want to get it as close to the joint as possible so that we're applying pressure almost directly to the joint without being on the joint. Right there. And this piece of wood is a little bit difficult right now, so I'm going to try to use this third clamp. This might be a little bit difficult. Get this seated first. Yeah, and what I thought was going to happen is happening is because these clamps aren't putting even pressure on the whole board, it is kind of angling the piece a little bit, which I don't like a lot, but like I'm tight here and I have a gap here, so ideally I'd clamp these together as well. However, I don't really have enough clamps. This is exactly why people say you can never have enough clamps in your shop. It's true. It is true, folks. You really can't have enough clamps in your shop. Okay, for this I'm going to do here. Try to work fairly quickly so that now I need little scrap pieces here. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, I broke my other tape one. Alright, that one's seated a little better now. How's this side looking? Not too bad. Fairly good, actually. I'm gonna see if I can get a little bit of movement out of it with tape. Ow, ripped again. Man. Well, now you guys see what it's the real difficulties. Not everything goes smoothly all the time. Especially when you don't have the right tools. Okay, that's seated a little bit better. Not ideal. So I think either way I'm gonna have to, oh, there we go. I'm gonna have to use some dowels to reinforce these because they're not, again, I don't have the clamps that I need for this exact process. So the joints aren't gonna be as rock solid as I'd like. Just because there's not going to be enough glue surface to fully lock everything down, because I still have a few little gaps in there. I'm just going to give it a little tap, see if it'll seat a little bit better. Well, I think that's as good as I can get it right now. And one thing I should be checking is for square, which I have not even checked yet. Honestly, everything's looking good. think this one's bowing out just a tiny bit, but I'm not too worried about that. That one looks good. Okay, well, I think that's good to go for assembly. As good as it's gonna get for now. Still need to work on shaving those down, but overall I think it's not too bad. It looks like a hot mess right now. But that's alright. Alright, where are we at? 202. Alright guys, well I think that's where I'm going to end it today. I'm going to probably keep working and getting the finish on the doors and getting everything finalized, and then yeah, hopefully we'll get some pictures for you, and next week we'll show you the final product. So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream today, and we will be here every Thursday at noon. So and that's noon Pacific time for you guys that are on different time zones. So we'll be here noon Pacific time every Thursday. Harvey Industries International. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you next week.